We are rolling. And we're back, man. It's been a long time.
It has. It's been, I don't know. I was just looking at our YouTube channel. I didn't even look and see when the last one we posted was.
It's been a minute.
I know.
Gotten busy.
My hair's gotten longer.
Your hair has gotten longer. Going for a new style.
Yeah. It felt like I just was tired of getting my hair cut, and then it just kept getting longer, and then I was like, well, I can't have an unruly
My hair's
head of
getting
hair,
shorter, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's another thing, too. I feel like I should take advantage of it while I've got it.
Yeah, I mean, you could donate some of that, maybe.
Maybe the barber shop is doing that after they cut it.
Maybe.
But,
You know, they do make those wigs out of real hair.
yeah.
It's a thing.
Yep.
They're expensive, I hear.
I don't know. I've got enough hair. I haven't been shopping for them.
I have not gotten that desperate yet, but
don't want to get a toupee.
Who knows? The time may come.
Yeah.
It's tough getting old, man.
I know. I'm not that old, but my joints are already starting to kill me after just playing sports in high school.
I feel that.
At the show this weekend, I was taking pictures, and at one point I went to squat down to take a picture at a nice angle, and my left knee just said, stop it. It just, I'd never had pain like it had been before in the spot it was. I've always had a bad left knee.
Yeah.
But it just, that moment was like, stop it.
Man.
Had enough.
I've been nursing some sort of middle back injury for like what feels like 10 weeks now, and I keep thinking it's going to go away. It doesn't go away.
No.
I don't know.
I'm sure this is exactly what you guys wanted to hear to open up our long hiatus.
Yeah.
Was talking about getting old.
Lots of ice.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom recently re-tore her ACL, tore her MCL, and strained something else. And she's got a crazy knee brace ice pack thing that specifically is made for like her knee and like wraps around it. And it's this big old thing. And
Man, that's tough.
yep.
Well, what's been going on in your guys' life?
Yeah.
We're excited to get back and talk. I think the whole idea is just, kind of an open conversation about just whatever, automotive trends, current world events, stuff like that. And our hope is as we continue to do this and grow this, that we'll continue to get feedback and some conversations from you guys. Was thinking I'm gonna go kind of go backwards from my notes.
All right.
What are there any like call-in shows? So when I was growing up, like the big thing was, especially on radio, it was like you did a call-in show.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it be sports, talking topics, people would call in and have a comment or an opinion on something. I don't know. Do those exist anymore?
Other than like traditional radio shows, I don't think so. And even then, like, how many people are picking up the phone from a random number?
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
I know that much.
Be interesting to merge a podcast, maybe not every time, but like do a podcast / live, Facebook Live or Instagram Live, to where we could have that live feedback.
That's probably the modern version.
Could be interesting. I'm sure somebody's already doing it. We're behind on the times, but might be something interesting to look at.
Yeah, because there are people who do live podcasts. They'll do their podcast live. So probably something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe tell us what your favorite podcast is, and if you'd be interested in, we did a live event sometime.
Yeah.
I know I've seen people do like online car shows, where you just do, like you're showing your car, you're doing it like on a forum or something like that. And that's kind of interesting. Yeah. I think that kind of started with COVID maybe. I don't know if it happened before that, but.
Yeah. Mighty Car Mods, they do a podcast type of deal, and they've got a segment called My Crap Car.
My Crap Car.
And they'll have people send in a video of their crap car.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll come up with our own version. My Cool Car.
Yeah. Or maybe we keep it My
car.
Crap Car and we merge it into like a Pimp My Rides type of thing.
Okay.
Did you watch that growing up?
No, I did not.
Okay. So
that was I think before I really was watching automotive stuff.
Okay. So, like you show us your crap vehicle and we'll pick the worst one and come up with a game plan for you. Yeah. Like a master plan, almost like
there we go.
Almost like floor plans for a house remodel or something.
Here's what we would do.
Here's what we would do to it.
Yeah, Pimp My Ride was from 04 to 07. I was between the ages of 4 and 7, so no, I was not watching Pimp My Ride. I was watching Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
The Cars movie came out in 06, so I was obsessed with that for, a while.
Should have advanced you right to Pimp My Rides with Exhibit. It would have been epic.
Oh, there's a fishbowl in the car. That's so cool. They were doing a bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Just bizarre stuff.
That definitely, I think you can dig. I think there's some I don't want to say dirt, but some interesting facts on Pimp My Rides as far as just some shadiness that had happened.
I think they did things at people's cars and they got them back. They were like, I didn't ask for this at all.
Oh, well, It made good TV.
I guess. I mean, only good enough for a handful of years, but...
Right. You got to do something. Well,
got to stand out.
Anyway, so the automotive forecast, that was kind of the lead in. So, I think as we kind of roll into some of this stuff, just talking about the automotive industry, since we are an automotive brand, I think it's nice to, talk about that. So just kind of looking at trends and, both in the OE and in the aftermarket, and just kind of taking a pulse of, what's going on in the industry. What are you seeing out there?
Well, we called this the Dodge Charger Daytona was not going to be successful. Mm-hmm. They have canceled the RT trim, which is the lower of the two trims available right now, because for the price, people are like, why would I get a weaker EV? I already have to buy a Dodge EV. I mean, if they're buying one, I don't know who's buying one. Yeah. So they still have the Scat Pack. The Daytonas have been slashed in prices. They've canceled it for the next year. We'll see if it even survives once it gets a combustion motor, because it's supposed to get the Hurricane Inline 6.
Yeah.
But now there's rumors that it might get a Hemi. So then if they do come out with the Inline 6, do people even not want to buy those? Would they rather wait for a possible Hemi?
Yep.
Because people don't want an Inline 6.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if this is... Well, first of all, Dodge, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're probably not, we'd be more than happy to take one of those EVs and test it out for you. Maybe, create some excitement around it for our 3 viewers. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, no, I watched the Throttle House video on it. And they were like, do not buy this.
I wouldn't buy one.
It's not often that they were like, usually don't say don't buy a car. Don't buy this one.
So I want to say it was Mercedes. And I don't know that they marketed this. Maybe they have started the marketing of this with some of their platforms, but I think you could see this in potentially some other platforms. I'm wondering where the market's trending with this, but they're showing, I think it was one of their SUVs, one of their midsize SUVs. They were showing like the same SUV, whatever the model was, ML, whatever. And then they were showing the 3 different engine 3-digit engine platforms that they were putting in them. So you had an EV version, you had a gas version, and a diesel version. And, I don't know if manufacturing can keep up, in the way they have always done business with, mass production with what customers want that way. But that is an interesting, thought is, meet customers where they're at with what they want. Because in different areas of the world, specifically, EV could work. There's other areas where it's never going to work. Same thing with diesel. Diesel's, readily available in other areas and in some areas, and it's not in others. But yeah, I mean, I think basically what we hit on that first podcast, the market has spoken, at least here in the States.
Yes.
Specifically when it comes to sports cars.
Yes. Like performance EVs are not.
Yeah. People are just not there.
No.
And I think this is a scenario where, like, you have to understand your buyer, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you... I mean, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and you grew up after, you came up after me, but you still are looking at, the EVs, like, why would you put that in a American muscle car?
Yeah.
Maybe offer the Hellcat motor and then be like, hey, here's an electric version of it and do it from that angle, but not hey, here's the EV.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like Corvette, the new C8.
yeah.
It has the E-Ray. It's all-wheel drive. It has an electric motor. And it's pretty cool. But you don't want it? Cool. Here's the Z06. Here's a normal one.
Yeah. Getting ready to come out with the ZR1 again, which is sweet.
Yeah, and apparently those C8s are starting to become pretty affordable.
They are.
Noah was telling me some of them are dipping down into like the 50s.
They are becoming very affordable, which is becoming very enticing.
Yeah, if you are spending...
Especially, I mean, I'm in that prime Corvette age bracket right now, right?
You're just missing your
my dad jeans.
Yeah.
I have some New Balances. Okay. Is that what you said? I was missing my New Balances?
The white New Balances
I've got them.
Or the Air Monarchs?
I've got them. You want me to go get them real quick?
I mean, I've got my New Balances on.
So
I'm ready for a Corvette.
I mean, I am primed for a Corvette.
Yeah.
Getting ready to hit that midlife crisis.
I mean, for $50,000, I mean, you really can't get a better car. And it's a fairly new, so like the mileage isn't going to be through the roof.
Right.
I mean, like that.
I mean, obviously, I would not be able to keep it stock. I would have to do all kinds of stuff to it. But that's the name of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. But, and then Volkswagen is supposed to, they teased the next GTI is going to be electric, which is a bunch of people are like not interested in.
That's interesting. So I would think, and this is a case study, right?
Yeah.
Like I would think if you could get any demographic to the EV side faster, maybe not, the Volkswagen, because they were kind of coming up into probably the diesel stuff and then into, the gas.
Yeah.
But like that type of group, that type of core buyer, like the Civics, I'm starting to see the Civic group, like the Fast and Furious type of crowd come back hard, which is kind of interesting. So, but I'm not seeing anybody with I don't know, maybe there's EV car clubs out there that I'm just not aware of. They've got stuff stanced and...
Yeah. I've seen a handful of Teslas.
Yeah. I think the play with the EV stuff, I think there's a market there for sure. But I think it's got to be, option, not forced. And then I think there's some interesting plays on some EV upfitting, on the old school stuff, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a guy that had a electric golf cart. That thing was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Drove me nuts, man.
Yeah.
Like you're out doing stuff. I was using it, whether it be for yard work or we take it camping, stuff like that. Not reliable. Battery gauge always wrong. You get stranded somewhere and you're like, got to find a place to plug this in or drag this back to the, just...
Yeah, you can't.
No, thank you.
You can drag a generator out there and power off a generator.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, apparently they're supposed to make the current combustion GTI until the EV comes out, but it's going to be like an 8-year run or something of the current one, so it's going to be super long-lived.
Interesting.
But what was super interesting, too, in the Volkswagen EV thing, the ID Buzz, their electric bus, the non-two-toned vans that went to dealers, a lot of them are sending them to places to get wrapped two-tone because the two-tones are selling and the plain ones are not.
That makes sense.
So it's interesting. Like it's not cheap. It's like a $70,000 starting van.
And I'm starting to see these things around. These things are pretty cool.
Yeah. And like this is where EVs are at, where it's like you've got to have something that sets it apart from a normal combustion car to get somebody, if they're already kind of thinking about an EV, like they're on the fence. Oh, I'll get a cool looking, bus van thing. Yeah. They don't want a silver one or a black one. They want a two-tone. They want something fun.
Yeah.
So like that's interesting too. Like,
well, and you might get that generation of buyer, right? Like, so say the mom, gets an EV, it's the family, wagon. Those kids growing up with EVs, that might be like, oh, hey, this was cool. I know we had an EV, growing up. That might be the generation that you're able to somewhat capitalize on. But I think the way they're going about it right now, they're turning a lot of people off. Yep. And I wonder how much of that is just not understanding the market any longer. I think they've lost a grip on that. And then also how much that's just the red tape in government.
It's true.
That has tried to force some of this. So I don't know. Let us know what you guys think. We'd love some input.
Yeah, I'd say that in VW's case, there is some misunderstanding of their market. They've stopped showing up to a lot of the big shows they used to show up to. They don't, listen to a lot of customers. There's a bunch of people that are like, this is my last Volkswagen. I am not buying another one after this one.
Yeah.
And again, because they're neglecting the enthusiasts. If the enthusiasts aren't interested in what you're doing, the non-enthusiasts are probably not going to be interested in what you're doing either.
Right.
Because to be completely honest, the Volkswagen scene is full of a bunch of people that like modifying cars that aren't, the fastest, fanciest things on planet Earth.
Yeah, for sure.
And if the enthusiasts for the not fastest, fanciest things on the planet Earth aren't enthused for what you're doing, the people who are not enthused already are going to be even less enthused. So, it seems like that's a theme across the board for a lot of manufacturers.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's a miscalculation that's being made is they are losing touch with the fact that a lot of these car enthusiasts really drive a lot of the trends in their markets and the excitement around vehicles. Oh, hey, I saw this vehicle modified. I want one of those. I got to have one of those. And maybe, they want to put a different spin on it. Or I saw this vehicle and it worked really well for, the application, if it's a work vehicle or whatever, like people don't have to buy your vehicle, right?
Right.
You have to give them a reason. And so a lot of times from our angle and what we see with those reasons are excitement, trends that drive that in terms of, whether it be the look, car show events, racing events, things like that. A lot of people that get into racing, they've modified their daily driver, because maybe they didn't have the money to have both a race car and a real car.
Yep.
And that's kind of what drives that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting times we live in right now. Stuff's fast. Stuff is changing so fast and moving so fast.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on the tariff situation? I think a lot of that has kind of died down a little, fizzled out a little bit. Things are starting to calm.
Well, it's a little all over the place. Some places still have some of those same tariffs. It's like there's a wheel company I follow, RML.
Mm-hmm.
They're just having to hold all their stock in China for all of their U.S. customers and are offering refunds to all of the people who have pre-ordered their wheels, basically saying, obviously I don't want to just hold your money. It's not been spent. You can't have it back. So, even though all that's gone, he's like, it's still in the air because it's still 145% tariff on his cast aluminum wheels. But then other things, it's completely wide open and it's fine. It's it's still seemingly a little all over the place. So some of the the smaller dogs in the fight are not quite out of it yet.
Yeah, and I think when you make changes, as with government, things move slower. So from my understanding, and this is an elementary level understanding of at least how the tariffs were affected. That last agreement, like they made with China, for example, is I think it was 10%.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's going both ways. So basically, it's a net zero change. But what happens is some of these manufacturers, they take advantage of that. They tell the customer, oh, hey, we're doing this, and they're making the extra, profit on the back end. So you got to watch some of that stuff.
Yep.
Some of that stuff can be good for them because it renegotiates, but they can renegotiate their deals, whether it be in the manufacturing and say, hey, we need an extra discount, and then they offset it.
Right.
But that's really what it comes down to is it's a big negotiation.
Yep.
I get nobody wants to spend more than they have to, first of all. But because government gets so big and it takes so long for the trickle down effect sometimes to happen, it's these big changes happen, and then, it takes a while for something to happen. But really, we should all find, hopefully, ourselves in a better negotiating spot.
Right.
Because just like with the EVs, in the market speaking, saying, hey, we don't want an EV charger, then the same thing kind of happens in industry in general, whatever the product is that you're buying, price point wise. So it has a way of balancing itself out.
Yep.
So I'm excited and hopeful to see that that is what will happen. I think everybody has to just kind of work through it, but ultimately you can't keep kicking the can.
No.
So hopefully some American production comes back.
Yes.
And that hopefully would be that would definitely be a huge positive.
Yeah.
Because now speed of products getting to market better. I can't tell you how many times over the years, we're just waiting on a shipment to come in.
Yep.
And we all know a lot of times where it's coming from, and it's like it's stuck on a boat somewhere, it's stuck in customs somewhere.
Right.
And so to not have to deal with that, and quality probably goes back up.
Right.
Yep. Sometimes it's not about saving a buck, sometimes spend a little bit to get a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're supporting local.
Yeah.
There's a lot of positives if everybody kind of slows down and looks through it.
Yes. I don't think I did not turn the fan on the camera, so.
Did it burn out?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah, and I know chatting with the Miltech folk, they've had 3 crates that they had shipped over from the UK at the beginning of the year. 1 made it over so far.
Okay.
That's just because tariff costs are through the roof.
Yeah.
And stuff that just keeps sitting in port that they're like just waiting. It's not even that they can't pay it. It's that it's just stuck.
Yeah, I was going to say, but some of that is having to play that game too, right? Like you got... That's tough in business when you're importing stuff. You're like, hey, I know that we have the market for X amount, but it's like I have all this stuff coming in, and then how do you forecast your orders?
Yes.
So you get the stuff, and then people aren't waiting, and it's kind of back to similar to what happened with COVID when everything kind of shut down. It's like a reshuffling, if you will, in terms of inventory and stuff like that, but. What it does at times, I use this example, and I've seen this a lot, is you have storm chasers, right? So you have a big event that happens.
Right.
A lot of times hurricanes in Florida, stuff like that. And Florida has now made some laws around that, like you have to be licensed to do certain things. And they've done that to try to stop a lot of the storm chasing. But what would happen is people would rush down to that area that was affected by a storm just to capitalize on people's misfortune.
Yep.
And, you would get shoddy work. People would sometimes not even do the work, but get in and get out and take the money and move on. And that's kind of similar to what's happening here. It could happen here where you have a lot of these companies that maybe aren't even real companies that are just brands, and, they're bringing product in, doing stuff like that, but aren't really taking it serious, and they're hurting the overall market. So that hopefully will kind of level some things back out, and you'll get back to, higher quality products, really. Right. Obviously the price is going to fall where it ends up, but, the hope is it gets back to where it's reasonable for everybody and the quality goes up.
Absolutely.
Not down. So, yeah, any other tariff news or thoughts that
we were going to talk about kind of with the tariffs, what it looks like kind of modifying new and used cars.
Yeah. So that's kind of the cool thing about our business. We've been around for 25 years.
Right.
And, with the automotive aftermarket, which is, where we predominantly find ourselves playing most of the time, is the aftermarket really forces good product and bad product. And what I mean by that is, like, you have OE product, you have a lot of customers are used to OE replacements. They need brakes done. You have your OE replacement option, and that's at such and such price point, but it doesn't really give you any, options one way or the other. Maybe you want a brake pad that produces less brake dust, or maybe you want brakes that stop you better, or stronger because you tow and haul a lot, and you're pulling heavy loads and it's just harder on the brakes. So there's all these factors that play in, and you could show that across the board with any product. And where the aftermarket really shines is the ability to have a lot of options,
right?
To meet you where your need really is based on what you want. Is it looks? Is it functionality? Is it a combination of both? Is it, performance? So the cool thing with where we're at every day is whether it's the new vehicle coming in, like one of the cooler hot vehicles that I really enjoyed. I think you just posted some pictures of it. Was that new Lexus SUV?
Yeah, that GX550.
The GX550. Yep, and Land Cruiser. I think those are really cool. The ability to modify those is really neat. But at PPC, we're really able to meet customers where they're at. If that's a new vehicle, coming in and putting some personality on it,
right?
Giving them what they want. Look wise, function wise, performance wise. And then, whether it's a work vehicle, fleet vehicle, maybe they're self-employed, really setting it up for a solution that helps them, do their work, be efficient day in and day out. So that's the cool thing with kind of moving from the aftermarket, world, looking at tariffs and where we're at right now is, if you're fortunate enough to be able to get a new vehicle, great, we've got you. But if not, and you have a vehicle that's a couple years old or a couple decades old, we've got you too.
Yep.
We've gone back and, whether it be the classic cars, muscle cars, we've got several customers. Recently, we've just done some old trucks that they're bringing back to life because they don't like all the new digital stuff. And we love doing that stuff. So it's really cool because we can help you with where you're at based on, what your needs are, what your budget is. And I really enjoy seeing people keep the old stuff alive and on the road and functioning too. So it's not always like, oh, hey, I just need to throw this vehicle away. We've had a lot of FJ Cruisers. I'm trying to remember what year range that was, maybe like 08, up, seeing a lot of those come through, and those had some rust issues. But we've done several of those recently where we're going through, cleaning up the underside of them, undercoating them, and just really trying to preserve those, keep them on the road. They're cool vehicles. And so, whether it's, once again, new or old or new, we got you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And with the fleet stuff, what are we doing on the fleet side right now? You said we got a big one coming.
Yeah. So fleet stuff is whether it be like government contracts or independent companies, stuff like that. There's always stuff rolling on the fleet side. Setting them up. A lot of these fleets, they need the ability to keep their products or tools dry, clean, ready to use. So doing a lot of truck caps, stuff like that on the fleet vehicles. Lots of graphics. So we got the ability to pretty much graphic your whole fleet. And then one of the solutions that we have been working on, both with the engineering group and ourselves, is a speed solution. Not the first to do it. There's been other speed solutions out there, but working on basically a limiter, speed limiter, that will help reduce, hopefully, misuse of fleet vehicles, drive down insurance costs for our customer.
Right.
And so, there's a lot of different needs that come up when you're operating a business. For us, our storefront, if you will, is obviously online, but then also in our brick and mortar locations. Some other companies in a lot of the fleets, their storefront is literally their vehicle.
Right.
So, trying to keep that functioning, trying to keep that obviously safe, both for, their employee and for the public,
right.
While protecting, their interest as a company. Driving down costs, stuff like that is super important. So we're able to find a lot of different solutions. We went back, we did a tour a couple months back, I haven't actually had a chance to sort through that content exactly that we did, but we've got a good relationship with one of our manufacturers that manufactures a lot of different things, and we've utilized whether it be ourselves or through some of our relationships, finding solutions for whether it be fleet customers or just regular customers,
a one-off type deal.
Which is kind of neat. So lots of stuff going on in the fleet world. New vehicles rolling in, and 2025 should be pretty busy in that area.
Nice.
The one thing which we kind of did a soft launch, we haven't really talked about. We'll probably get more into this a little bit later, but wanted to at least bring it up, is we are offering a new service. You've been working on the back end on the website. It's PPC, so Pickups Plus Cars, TopKeep Storage. And we're kind of I'm really excited. I've been working a lot on this. But it is a solution that we're bringing to you guys to provide really just a pain point that we see a lot of customers have, which is, they've got a Jeep or a Bronco, or maybe it's another vehicle with a hard top or soft top, and they need help getting that top off. They need help getting that top swapped, getting their soft top installed. But more importantly, they need help storing that big, bulky hard top.
Right.
So the cool thing with this is we'll have the ability to store, not only help you, with swapping your top, but also storing your top. So I'm excited to bring that to the market here in Columbus. Nobody's done it around here. It is something that is, kind of popular in some other areas, some odd areas actually. But we're excited to roll this out and, provide that service for the Central Ohio market. And, whether you need a new soft top, best top. So we were one of the first dealers for a company called My Top, which made the first electric soft top for the Jeeps. And then they brought out a Bronco soft top. They were recently bought out by Best Top, which is the top manufacturer that basically dominates soft tops.
Right.
Best Top has also been, I believe, the OE manufacturer for Jeep for quite some time.
Wow.
So we also, I say that to say that we have all the solutions for you, whether you need a replacement top, whether you are looking for a replacement soft top, whether you want a replacement soft top that is power for your Jeep or Bronco. We've got you covered on that type of stuff. And then we're also going to roll out the ability to provide pickup and delivery on some of this stuff. So there'll be some limitations, but you reach out to one of our locations. Maybe you can't get to us, or maybe you already pulled your hard top off and you don't want to put it back on. We'll roll up to your place, pick it up, get it out of your way for the season, store it in our nice storage facility, and then bring it back and reinstall it for you. So,
nice. Yeah, that'll be a nice thing to have locally.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to do well. I'm excited too. We're about to launch a little bit more marketing and stuff around that. So, keep an eye out for that type of stuff. You've done some socials around that, or we'll do some more. That kind of pivots us into current fuel pricing.
Yes.
So I think this kind of piggybacks tariffs, right? Like, just in terms of what's going on in the world, current events type of stuff. I don't know. I mean, are you just traveled? Yeah. So talk to me about what you saw out there.
It's a little all over the place. It seems like 93 is under $4 right now, which is nice. Buc-ee's is always cheap, which makes it a necessary stop, not just because it's Buc-ee's, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's almost always $1 less. than it is here in Columbus.
They have to make so much money, man.
Yeah, they've got to be pumping so much gas they can afford to take the loss on that.
I want to know how many gallons they can hold at their facility at one time. It's got to be insane.
Yeah, it's absurd. But then I want to say I only filled up twice other than that while we were down there. And I want to say it wasn't too much different than what we've got up here, which is typically not how it goes.
Yeah, it seems like when you hit, I don't know what the breaking point is in the southern states, but you get closer, the price obviously goes down because it's closer to, the refinement facilities and stuff.
Let me see. Well, it was all over the place. Gas has been above 4. We were traveling. Yeah, I paid $3.80. I paid $3.20. Yeah, so gas was 93 was $3 a gallon at Buc-ee's both times I stopped. We stopped in Tennessee and it was $3.23. And I stopped in Georgia and it was $3.80, which I think may just be the product of me stopping at a gas stop in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Less so it just being more expensive down there.
A little private gas stop.
I think probably should have just kept driving until I found one that was a little more in town. But I filled up today and it was $3.87. So
hey,
it's under 4. I'm not too unhappy.
Hopefully it'll keep pushing south.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah.
It would be good.
Yeah. What are you guys paying at the pump right now, wherever you're at?
Yeah, tell us where you're at and what you're paying. Yeah. We would love to know.
Yeah.
Especially, summertime's coming up. People are going to be traveling.
Yep.
That's always the time. It seems like gas wars happen.
Right.
If that's still a thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is. Hopefully it's a thing that drives the price down.
Yes. Yeah, we know California is expensive. So if you're in California, we already know that you're getting crappy 91 and it's cost $7 a gallon. Crazy state.
Yeah, you can blame that definitely on your state leaders. Your state leaders for sure.
Yeah, the nonsense that is that area.
Yep.
But with gas prices being all over the place, these Slate affordable trucks, these Slate trucks.
Yeah.
They're EVs, so you're not paying for gas, but the truck itself is pretty affordable. And then with EV, it can be affordable. It's an interesting product that seems like a lot of people are pretty excited about.
Yeah, I think like with the emergence of UTVs, like that particular industry has just exploded. And really, I kind of think they did pretty good. Like, kind of thought early on when some of those price points came out on UTVs, people would be like, no way. And I think people were early on, but some of these people just were like, well, I got to have it. I have that hobby. I love it. I want to go, off-roading. And so they went for it. But I think like these small micro vehicles, right? It's kind of that you're fighting over that buyer that needs it. Probably aren't going to drive it every day, but they need it for around their property, run into town to grab some stuff. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And it seems like the Slate stuff is like they're pitching fleet stuff. Like here's this picture. I mean, it's got a ladder on it and everything. So like
which would work probably in small city areas for sure. Like you go to some towns, beach towns, city, you just think about whether it be like a window cleaner or I don't know, just different industries that something like that would work really well. You don't need a big truck. Maybe you don't want a big truck because you're making a bunch of stops and big trucks can be hard to park sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll always probably have a big truck, but
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe buy a truck to put in my big truck too.
I don't know that I'll ever be buying a big truck. I don't know that my lifestyle necessarily needs it. But the small truck is interesting because you do get some of that utility, but without some of the size.
You say that, but if you get enough cars, you're going to need a big truck to pull all those vehicles.
I've got one, and right now the budget shows a long few years of one car.
You just pay one off at a time, keep it, move on.
Got enough other stuff to pay off.
I feel that.
But yeah, the Slate truck, apparently 100,000 reservations to get a truck. And
Is that stateside or does it say? Just
US.
stateside. Interesting.
Raised $700 million
Nice.
in investment.
Nice.
Roll-up windows. It starts with
roll-up window. The old crank windows.
Yeah. I mean, for a $20,000 new truck, I'd take roll-up windows.
Yeah.
If it's
you can always pull the handle off and just like install a drill.
Right.
And just up and down. It'd be good.
Yeah. Well, apparently that whole mechanism is made in Brazil because the U.S. doesn't have the ability to make a roll-up window anymore. None of the manufacturers make roll-up window vehicles, so they had to.
If this is true, that's very disappointing, America.
Hey, Americans like their luxuries. And the market has spoken. A lot of people demand luxuries in their base models, but that's driven base models up.
Yeah.
Like when I was working at the Honda dealership years ago, like all the base models had heated seats and Bluetooth.
Yeah.
You don't need that in a base model. If it's going to save me $5,000, I might not get heated seats and a radio. But so many people want it in their car, but they don't want to spend a lot of money, so they've got to throw the features in the cheap one.
This is true.
I think that I'm interested to see if the Slate early, pre-order reservation success continues, and if that makes a market shift to more manufacturers starting to make actually affordable new cars again.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Right now it's like 30, 40 grand for a new car. It's just not, there's no cheap car anymore.
This is a problem for sure. One of the things that I saw, when you're talking about like economics in the world, like one of the things that keeps an area down has always been transportation. So making a more economical vehicle is definitely, I think, an important thing because the freedom that a vehicle creates for people to get outside of maybe a bad situation, a bad area, go find a job, is a game changer.
Yep.
So I do think there needs to be more of a market for those types of vehicles.
Yep. The margin just isn't there for manufacturers.
Yeah.
Which is why they continue to make giant SUVs full of luxury features because their margins are huge and it costs them about the same amount of money as it would on a mid-size sedan.
I think you've got that, and then you also have the red tape piece of it, all of the restrictions. It's harder to hit requirements.
Yep.
But
the smaller it gets, the harder it is to hit requirements. The larger it gets, the easier it is because there's less requirements.
Yeah.
Which might be why the Slate makes sense because it's an EV. It's got less red tape around it to be a cheap, small vehicle. If it's seemingly the EV tech has gotten cheap enough now, then they may be able to get into a market that combustion can't get into, unfortunately, because of how stringent, regulations have become on demanding gas mileage.
Yeah. So you have quite the collection of Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you.
Okay.
Do you know what or remember Micro Machines? I'm showing my age with this one.
I think when I was really young, my parents' coworkers, their kids had already graduated high school and were in college, and we'd go over there for babysitting, and they had, I think it might have been that exact. It was like a fold-out deal.
Yep.
And I remember playing with them. I loved it because I would go over there and specifically ask to play with those.
Yeah. So Hot Wheels were like, you guys tell us. I think Hot Wheels probably started in the 70s, 80s. I remember playing with them, into the 90s. And then in the 90s, I believe 90s. Let me check my dates here.
Oh, yeah. I definitely remember playing with these.
I don't know when they unveiled them, but it looks like the availability was 1987 is when they started. So I think they got really popular probably in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the thing because it was like the new Matchbox Hot Wheel, car, but smaller. And you could carry around the whole little city, or whatever it was that you had with your Micro Machines. But we're literally living in a time where they're trying to build Micro Machine vehicles for us to drive. I mean, I guess they have the little...
Yeah, K trucks and K cars.
Yep, but there's a guy that has one of those. I'm sure there's several of these out there, but he took his smart car and painted it like the little tykes, the red and yellow.
Yes.
He's local here in Ohio or in Columbus somewhere. Pretty hysterical.
Yeah.
If you're going to drive one of those, why not drive it like that?
Yeah. Those are funny little cars. The early ones were not great. working at the Benz dealer and being a valet there, I drove a lot of those. The transmission in those, I think, had to have been a single clutch because it would go from gear to gear and pitch you forward in your seat. The later ones were great. The transmission
I just don't
was
know
fine.
how you survive
like
an accident in one of those. If you're in a little city and there's like, it's very restricted speed wise, okay. Yeah. But like going out and getting on a main road or the main highway for that matter, no thank you.
Yeah, well, there's been a ton of concerns about all the K trucks and K cars getting shipped to the U.S. There's been a few states that have been trying to ban them because they're afraid of that safety. But it's past the 25-year import rule because of the safety regulation. So there's...
Well, those K vehicles, not so much the K cars, but the K trucks, people are using those. They've used them for years for farm vehicles and stuff like that.
Drive them on the road.
And so, they're not out using those as their daily driver. They're using them for a purpose. They might roll into town. Yeah, people are now, but they weren't then.
Yeah, there's a guy in L.A. He always wanted a K truck. He got one. He's a Twitch streamer or a live streamer and a YouTuber, and he collabed with another YouTuber, automotive YouTube channel, and they did an EV swap on it.
Yeah.
So now he's got a rocket ship of a little K truck, and they toned it down, but it still is like that's a go-kart with a truck bed.
Nice.
It's absurd.
Anyway, I want to see more of this Hot Wheels collection you have. I'm going to get back into collecting them. Micro Machines, I think, is probably on the list too.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to hit eBay for the Micro Machines.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But if you guys have some cool Hot Wheels and they're just taking up space, we'll send you our address. You can ship them to us.
I don't need any more Hot Wheels. I've actually tried to stop buying so many because
I'll take some donations.
Yeah, I've got one giant box, a smaller box, and then yarn carriers. Okay. Those fit Hot Wheels perfectly. So all my open ones that I didn't have anywhere to store.
So you stole Grandma's yarn carriers?
No, me and my dad have bought probably 8 from Joann's.
You were rolling up to Joann's and they're like, what are these guys doing?
Rest in peace, Joann's. But I've got too many, so I'm trying to slow down on the Hot Wheels.
Hey, maybe get rid of some of the Hot Wheels and you could buy some Micro Machines because they're only going to take up half the space. Just a thought.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I might sell them though because I've probably got a few $100 in Hot Wheels sitting around.
I bet you do.
It wouldn't hurt.
I bet you do.
I tried to buy ones that now I've got I can sell them in packs of 5. They're all the same theme.
Yeah.
Add an extra $5 or $10 on there because now you're getting all of them. That's how you make your money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you sell them again for $1.50, $2. You're not really making any money. You sell them for that much, but
yeah,
I don't know. They're sitting in my closet.
That's you have to bring those by sometime, and we'll have to check those out.
All right, it's a lot. But
anyway, well, I don't know. What do you want to pivot to next?
Well, say we're
edit this part out, please.
Yeah, who knows? We're kind of on that more lighthearted track, so talk about some motorsport stuff. Well, this isn't necessarily lighthearted, but it's
probably devastating for Penske.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
they shouldn't.
They've been at the top forever.
They should have requalified the two of them. That's what a bunch of drivers are saying. They've just pushed them back to the back of the grid. But the way the Indy 500. All right, so let's just start from the top. If you don't know, the Indy 500 is coming up. The largest spectacle in motorsports, as they call it. It's supposed to be completely sold out in the grandstands for the first time in a while at the 500. But Penske Motorsports, who's the top team in IndyCar and has been that way for a long time, rightly so. I mean, Roger Penske owns the series and he owns the Indy International Speedway.
Yeah.
They got caught cheating with a couple of cars, which is funny because at the beginning of last season, they were also caught cheating with their power
But is it cheating
deployment.
if you don't get caught? I'm just curious.
Well, they're caught now, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so last year they cheated by...
So we have determined it is cheating, even if you do get caught.
Well, they got penalized, so they are cheating. They had an energy and power deployment thing last year. They were using it in qualifying when they couldn't. So then they got wins forfeited and fined a bunch last year. And then this year, right before the 500, there's a piece on the back of the car. There's 2 carbon fiber pieces, and they overlap. they've been putting like a glue or like a thermal paste between them,
Like
so
an
it's
RTV
aerodynamic.
silicone.
Yeah.
Just filling that gap.
But it's like a permanent thing.
Yeah.
So they were found out to be cheating and having done that. So they were trying to grind it off after they had been found out for the last inspection, which also landed them in more hot water. So now those 2 cars have been sent to the back of the qualifying grid, to the back row. But the 500, there's so many entries, there are cars that get bounced. They're not fast enough. They don't even get to drive. So now drivers are saying those 2 cars should have been put into that last chance qualifying to see if they could even make it, let alone just be put on the back of the grid. But with that, they were fined $100,000 for each entry. They get no points for the 500, which is one of the biggest. I think you get double points of the 500.
But if you own the racetrack and
that's another part of the controversy.
Maybe they just start a new team real quick.
This is the controversy. It's at Penske. Like, they've been doing it. He owns it. It seems real fishy.
Does sound like maybe a conflict of interest, a touch, but...
Yeah. But apparently that's this illegal modification too. They've been doing for a while, and they've just now been found out because the car that's in the Indianapolis 500 museum from the winning car last year had this modification on it.
Yeah.
So now people are saying, should that be forfeited? Should the guy who was runner-up have won? I don't think it's going to happen because once there's a precedent. Once you pass tech and you pass the post-race inspection, you pass the inspection.
Maybe somebody snuck back in there and filled it.
I don't think
after the fact.
Because
probably not, but
a similar car was also taken to the White House when Penske visited the White House and also had that done.
Okay.
But it's not haphazard. So the one at the 500 looked a little more haphazard, like they're doing it after inspections or something. But the ones that are on display and went there have clear coat over all of it.
Okay.
So it looks like they've been modifying it premeditated
and
have made it permanent. So it's a whole the 500 is going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's so competitive out there. You got to find an advantage somehow, right? Yeah. Like that's
especially IndyCar being a spec series. Like it's very tight. So any little change like that can make a really big difference.
Right.
But the 500s be real exciting. We got a rookie qualified first with a rookie team. No one saw it coming. It's his first time on an oval. He came from Europe. He's never driven an oval.
Interesting.
First time. He didn't do practice the morning of qualifying and qualified first. Just crazy. So
it's going to get really good at left-hand turns.
Yeah. The 500 is a fun watch. I enjoy that. I went to it in person a few years ago.
Nice.
I'd love to go back and see.
Yeah, that'd be cool for sure. What with Indy in general, what's the excitement behind, or what? I think it's probably one of the only races they drink the milk when they win.
Yep.
Why?
It's a tradition. I don't entirely know the tradition behind it. It's always been a thing.
Yeah. I mean, going way back, probably, I don't know, maybe even the start of it.
Yeah. So after Lewis Meyer won the 1936 500 on a warm day, he asked for a glass of buttermilk. And now it's just become a thing.
I love it.
In 56, the dairy industry became involved as a sponsor.
Nice.
The tradition is stuck. So it's
good job, dairy.
Almost a millennium of
that's awesome.
Drinking milk. So they ask every driver who qualifies, what kind of milk do you want if you win? Skim, 2%, whole, buttermilk. Apparently, I think it won.
Can you get chocolate milk? I've not seen it, but
I don't know.
It'd be cool if you could.
Let's see. Chocolate milk. I do think a driver at one point had orange juice.
Okay, really?
Chocolate milk is not one of the standard options.
Huh.
Yeah, it sounds like they're not letting you pick it. Well, in May of 24, it sounds like somebody tried to do it.
Man, if I was like Nesquik or something, I'd be like having somebody run some Nesquik in.
Yeah, so it looks like
to dump in the chocolate milk or in the milk real quick and make chocolate milk.
In 2021, 1 wrote in chocolate, 2 wrote in buttermilk. So most guys are picking whole or 2%.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun fun little tradition.
Yeah, talking about sports, I didn't think about this earlier, but the Memorial Tournament's coming up here.
Yeah.
Biggest, probably one of the biggest events to hit our area.
Yeah.
Thinking back a couple years ago, I can't remember if that was last year or the year before. We were able to make our presence known.
Right on the broadcast and on the course.
Yep, the little train horn action that our customer. I don't think he did that intentionally, but it made national news. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. We had a customer that had it. We put a train horn on their truck, and they blared it nearby. And who was it? It was.
I am trying to remember now.
Was it Scotty? No. See, I made this post a year ago of it, but I didn't say which. It was Spieth.
Spieth, yep.
Yeah. So he was in the middle of his putt, and the train horn went off, and
he walked away from the putt and then walked back to it.
Yep.
Very, very veteran move from Spieth.
Yes, and he was laughing about it.
Yeah, I'd love to get together and talk with him about it. If this ever makes it to him, tell him to reach out to us.
Right.
And we'll come to him.
Yeah.
And just talk about that moment and what was going through his head.
Yeah.
But hopefully no train horn incidents at the Memorial Tournament this year.
Yep.
Hopefully the weather holds up.
Yeah.
They shift the dates on the Memorial Tournament a couple years back because the week that they always had it on, it would always rain.
Huh.
It was known as the there's an Indian burial ground in that area, and there's a little curse that they said happened because of that. But nonetheless, we've had decent weather in recent years, so hopefully this year will hold up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be watching.
Yeah,
golf's not quite my speed.
That's all right. I mean, you go out and take pictures of people golfing.
I did do that. Yeah, the
JD Classic.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Yeah, that was
a good time. And you actually took a shot too.
I took something. It was not good, I know that much. I've been to the driving range less than a handful of times, so going on the course and trying to hit a ball was not
did you
pretty.
hit that for my team or for somebody else's team?
Don't
I
remember.
forgot. I think for somebody else's.
For Scott.
Yeah. So it actually helped. Your golf game actually helped me. Thank you.
Well, they still hit theirs because it was like you can use it if you want type deal. Yeah, it's not good.
That was a good time though.
Yes. In '93, Emerson Fittipaldi chugged orange juice when he won. But he apparently did take a swig of milk later to appease the fans.
Disappointed.
Yeah, he has his own orange grove in Brazil and wants to promote his product.
Oh, okay. Well, I can appreciate that. Yeah. I was thinking maybe like if this race was in Florida, you could drink Tropicana orange juice.
You win the 500, the Daytona 500.
Yeah. I don't know.
1993.
I'm into the milk.
Yeah.
Especially if it's chocolate.
No one's done it yet.
Yep. But, well, I don't know. I mean, I think this was pretty good. Pretty good follow up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we won't have such a long layoff.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. Life's been busy. So you've had what, softball? Right?
Yeah, I've been coaching high school softball. Just wrapped our season up, and we've got an awards banquet still to do, but that was good. Dodging raindrops, trying to get games in.
Right. Yeah, I was supposed to take pictures for Genoa's senior nights for baseball and softball. And
yeah.
I think softball, I ended up just taking pictures on a mound in the middle of the rain because 4 straight games got canceled.
Yeah, they did senior night inside the gym for baseball this year because I think they rescheduled the senior night game maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Poor guys didn't.
Baseball, it still rained, but luckily it wasn't bad enough to stop playing. But it's been very rainy.
Yes, it has. But hopefully the warmer summer weather will be here soon.
Yep.
And, just in time for people to hit us up for TopKeep.
Yep.
Get those hard tops off and soft tops on and Enjoy some nice weather here in Ohio.
Bring your show cars by.
Yeah.
Get them ready for show season.
That's right.
A little inspection, maybe some mods.
Yep.
Whatever you want.
That's right.
Make sure your show car is show ready.
That is important.
Yep.
I have a bunch of show vehicles that are not show ready.
I've got one car that it's show ready and daily ready. It's got rock chips. That's probably the one thing that makes it not show ready, but it's a driver.
You got that thing looking so good that the rock chips don't even stand out.
No, they're starting to. There's enough of them.
Nah.
A couple trips to the Dragon, getting rocks flung up. They
just means you're following too close. Maybe you need to be the lead car.
No. Well, I did get stuck behind Jake and Zach at Esoteric a few times.
Yeah.
And that's probably where most of my rock chips came from because your Z3 is pretty slow. I'm calling you out. He's riding your tail. But it's a good time.
You didn't try to pass them?
Not down there. You don't cross the mustard unless you're trying to get hurt or hurt somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, the show this
Not
weekend.
a smart idea, that's for sure.
Yeah, the show I went to at Georgia this weekend, there was a Ruby Stone GT3.
Okay.
He was passing people on the left up the mountain
Oh
and
my
almost
gosh.
hit multiple people.
What is wrong
He
with
got
him?
chased out of town. Like the cops couldn't even get to him before all the people that were there for the show were like, "Get out of here!"
Goodness.
Because the show
Some kid in the car?
I think so. He's had multiple felonies. Like
Goodness.
His mugshot. People found his mugshot, like multiple mugshots.
Mom and dad bought him a car.
It was absurd. Because the show has almost been canceled because people come in and try and
That's the
be
worst when
hooligans
people ruin stuff like that.
yeah, because this is the only show that happens in the town all year. It's in Helen.
Yeah.
So it's been almost ruined, and this year it was invite only. A bunch of lots were closed unless you had a hang tag for the show. You couldn't get into places without having a hang tag. Like it was way more. They paid for cops and security. Like it was really locked down this year.
Wow.
Because the city was like, we don't really want to have you again, but they were like, we really want to keep doing it, and we'll do everything we can to keep it going. And it seems like it worked. The city seems to have said that things were way better this year, but
That's good.
the BMW kids were still trying to drift up and down some mountains and cause problems. So
Yeah.
there's some guys that are a part of the group that are doing their own personal investigation of these guys and sending Instagrams and license plates to the organizers and the cops, and
Interesting.
it's real interesting.
Yeah.
But
The speaking of car shows,
Yeah.
right? We just got a big order of Jack's Wax at
Yep.
both locations. So you need supplies to clean your ride. Stop in and see us. We're connecting with those guys quite a bit. Actually, hope to have them on our podcast at some point.
yeah, that'd be good.
Which would be cool. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us this time.
Yeah.
We will catch you next time.
Yeah. Hopefully not as much later.
Right. Yeah.